you ever felt an eerie chill run down your spine while sitting alone in your own home? That creeping sense that you're not really alone? Well, here are some of the most terrifying encounters that happen in the place where we should feel safest, our homes. Number 8. Ghost alerts a baby. In this clip, captured by a baby monitor, we see an innocent baby seated quietly in a crib placed in the center of the room. Everything seems calm, but then a shadowy figure suddenly glides past the front of the crib, almost too quickly to catch with the naked eye. The baby, however, immediately senses the disturbance. Alerted by the presence of something unseen, the baby stands up in the crib, peering around with wide, curious eyes, trying to understand what just happened. This moment raises an eerie question. Could the baby see what we couldn't? There's a long-standing myth that babies are more sensitive to the supernatural, able to see and hear things that adults cannot. Watching this baby react so instantly to a shadowy figure that only briefly crosses the frame makes one wonder, does this video validate the myth? While we may never know for sure, the baby's reaction to the ghostly figure leaves little doubt that something out of the ordinary occurred in that room. This clip adds another layer to the mystery of whether our youngest can indeed sense the presence of spirits. Number 7. Doorbell ghosts. In this ghostly encounter, a family was away at work when they received a notification from their doorbell camera. The alert indicated that something had been detected on their front porch. Curious and perhaps a bit concerned, they reviewed the footage remotely, only to find something that left them utterly baffled. The video shows a massive, dark figure moving across the porch right in front of the camera. The figure is large and shadowy, with no discernible features, and it moves with an unsettling fluidity. Just as quickly as it appears, the figure vanishes into thin air, leaving no trace behind. The image is haunting. There is no logical explanation for what this shadowy figure could be. It's too large and defined to be a trick of the light or a passing shadow, and yet it disappears as if it was never really there. The family, now left with this mysterious footage, is left to wonder, what was that figure, and why did it appear on their porch? Number 6. Ghost pushes a child. In this clip, a mother is seen sitting in the living room, gently caring for her baby, who rests peacefully on her lap. The scene is calm and ordinary, filled with the warmth of family life. Her older daughter, a lively toddler, walks into frame, moving through the room with the playful but determined steps typical of her age. Everything seems perfectly normal until something inexplicable happens. As the toddler makes her way across the room, an invisible force suddenly pushes her on the forehead, causing her to stumble and fall backward. The push is so abrupt and forceful that it's clear that it was no simple trip or loss of balance. The toddler's fall is startling, and it's clear that something or someone unseen intervened. There's no one else in the room who could have caused this, leaving the disturbing possibility that an unseen presence may have been responsible. This chilling incident adds to the growing list of strange and unexplained events, making us question what might be lurking in the shadows, even in the most familiar of places. Number 5. Light flickering ghost. In this clip, we see a woman captured by her sleep activity monitor in what should have been the peaceful setting of her bedroom, but the calm was quickly disrupted by a series of unsettling events. It all began when the door to her room slowly creaked open. There was no perceivable wind, and curiously, the napkins placed on the stool right in front of the doorway remained perfectly still, proving that a strong draft wasn't responsible for the door's movement. What happened next was even more chilling. An unseen force seemed to tug at the duvet covering the sleeping woman, slowly pulling it off of her. This disturbance was enough to wake her, and she instinctively reached for the light switch beside her bed. The light came on, and for a moment, everything seemed normal. But then, something out of the ordinary occurred. The light switch began flicking by itself, and the room's light changed colors as if manipulated by an invisible hand, before the light bulb finally went out altogether. What makes this even more unnerving is that the woman, perhaps not fully awake, didn't seem to register the full extent of the paranormal activity. She left the room, likely for a quick bathroom break, unaware of the horror unfolding. But as she returned and settled back in, the flickering began again. This time, it was impossible to ignore. Fully awake and terrified, she scrambled to find her phone, desperately trying to call someone, anyone who could save her from this inexplicable situation. Number 4. Ghost messing with the couple. In this clip, we witness a series of disturbing events that seemed designed to torment a couple. The footage begins with a scene recorded by a sleep activity monitor in the couple's bedroom. As the couple sleeps soundly, a shadowy figure emerges from the wall. It slowly glides toward the foot of the bed where the couple's feet rest. Without warning, the shadow violently pulls the wife, causing her to exclaim loudly in shock and fear. The terror doesn't end there. The next scene, captured just outside the bedroom door, shows a vacuum machine that had been innocently placed beside the wall. Suddenly, the vacuum begins to levitate off the ground, as if picked up by an invisible hand. Then, with a loud crash, it's dropped back down. Strangely, it doesn't tip over, as one might expect. Instead, it lands upright, as though the ghost had carefully chosen to make a loud noise without causing damage. A deliberate act to further frighten the couple. What's behind these relentless attacks? Only the couple might know what they could have done to provoke such anger from the spirit, or perhaps the ghost simply takes pleasure in tormenting them. Whatever the reason, this malevolent force seems intent on making their lives a living nightmare before daylight. Number 3. Angry ghost trashing kitchen. This clip takes us into what appears to be a typical, quiet kitchen, but there's nothing ordinary about the events that unfold here. The setup itself suggests that something strange has been happening for a while. The camera is placed on the adjoining dining table, perfectly angled to capture the entire kitchen. It's clear that whoever set up the camera knew something unsettling was bound to happen, and they were right. Suddenly, objects in the kitchen began to move on their own, seemingly defying the laws of physics. Plates are flung off the counter, utensils soar through the air, and cupboard doors open with violent force. There's no sign of string work or any other trickery. This isn't a staged scene from a horror movie. This is real. The sheer intensity of the activity suggests a powerful force at play. But what could have triggered such rage? It's one thing to see a ghostly figure or hear unexplained footsteps, but this kind of aggressive poltergeist activity raises questions. Is there something or someone that has provoked this spirit into such a furious state? This is not just a haunting, it's a full-blown paranormal assault, leaving us to wonder, what could someone have done to anger a ghost this much? Number 2. Ghost dragging an innocent child. This clip, recorded by a sleep activity monitor, captures the unimaginable horror of a peaceful night turned into a nightmare. A young girl is sleeping soundly in her bed, tucked safely in her room, but then, out of nowhere, invisible hands begin to pull her from the bed. The girl is dragged across the floor, her small body sliding helplessly out of the room and into the corridor. The terror intensifies as the girl is pulled toward a dark room at the far end of the corridor. Her frightened voice echoes through the house as she calls out for her daddy, her fear palpable as she's dragged by an unseen force. Just as she reaches the dark room, the door slams shut with a violent force, cutting off her desperate cries. What happens after, no one knows. What makes this scene even more genuine is the way she is being pulled. No string work could mimic this eerie movement. This is no ordinary haunting. It's a terrifying display of power by an entity intent on causing fear. The sheer horror of watching an innocent child being dragged away by something invisible and malevolent is enough to leave anyone shaken to their core. Number 1. The 3 ghostly children. Late one night in Mexico City, a worried woman made a call to the local police. She was alarmed by strange and unexplained noises coming from her son's apartment directly above hers. What made the situation even more unsettling was that her son was out of town and the apartment would have been empty. When the police arrived, they thoroughly searched the apartment but found no one inside. No signs of a break-in, no intruders, nothing to explain the noises. However, the officers themselves began to hear something eerie, a faint sound of banging, and the low murmur of voices. Concerned that someone might be hiding, they decided to take a cautious approach. The officers radioed their headquarters and requested that a nearby public CCTV camera be focused on the upstairs apartment. What the camera captured was beyond chilling. As the officers stood outside, the CCTV footage revealed the ghostly figures of 3 children staring out of the window. The police, puzzled and unnerved, left the scene. But the mystery only deepened. The building's longtime security guard revealed that every 10 years, this same haunting vision occurs. 3 ghostly children peering out, just as they did that night. The guard also mentioned something even more bizarre. No children had ever lived in that apartment. To this day, no one knows who or what those ghostly children are, leaving this haunting footage a lingering mystery.